Welcome everyone to the Qualys webinar about live view on the IQ Panel 2. We're very excited to have Will Kosey from Alarm.com as our special guest. Will, welcome.
Thank you.
So everyone, before we get started, we know there's a bunch of people still climbing in here and getting logged in and so they can see the presentation. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping. The first thing is because there's so many people logged onto the webinar today, we want to make sure that everybody can participate well, but we have to mute everyone for that. What I don't want is I don't want you to think that just because you're on mute doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. We absolutely want to hear from you. We want your participation. We want your questions. So the GoToWebinar control panel has made it possible for you to type in your questions, type in your comments, things like that. If you'll go to that GoToWebinar control panel that you used to log into the webinar today, you should see a section called Chat or Questions. Find that section for us and type out a message to Whitney and Kelsey. Whitney and Kelsey, say hello. Both these ladies are on the line today.
Hey.
So they're going to be handling all the questions, and if it's a question that's relevant to the conversation that we're going to be having today, they'll pause us and we'll be able to answer your question live on the air. Otherwise, they'll be typing your questions as frantically as their little fingers can type to make sure that you get the responses you need. And if you don't get the response you need, type it in again. Again, there's lots of people on the webinar today, and it's possible they missed it. We'll do our best to answer all the questions in a timely manner, and we can always wait till the very end of the webinar to answer questions as well. So hopefully that makes sense. We are recording the webinar today, so if you'd like to refer to it later or want to be able to share it with someone else, one of a fellow employee or someone else in the organization or in the industry, you will be able to get that from our YouTube page. We have a special playlist called Webinar Recordings, and it's just youtube.com/Qualys. We'll send you the link for that as well in a follow-up email that you should get tomorrow. So be watching for that. So without further ado, I would say let's dive on in. I guess first let's start with a poll. I'd like to, let's do that first poll, Kelsey. Has your company installed the IQ Panel 2 for an end user? Our goal is to kind of understand, yes, no, or yes or not yet. We want to know, who our audience is. If we're talking to a bunch of IQ Panel seasoned veterans, we'll change the conversation a little bit. Whereas if we're talking to people who are brand new to IQ Panel, we want to make sure that we cover the things that are important to you and do that. So it looks like the vast majority are used to using the IQ Panel and are installing the IQ Panel, but we do have a healthy percentage that are not currently installing the IQ Panel. For those of you that are brand new to either to Qualys webinars or brand new to the IQ Panel, I recommend you going onto either our YouTube page or our website and getting information about the IQ Panel. There's a great webinar we did a few weeks ago giving you an overview of the IQ Panel. There's another one that talks about ways to sell the IQ Panel. There's some very valuable information in there. Kelsey will also follow up with you after the webinar. So for those of you that said not yet, she'll follow up with you directly after the webinar and send you an email and see if we can get you portal access to our dealer portal where you can watch a bunch of videos about basics, panel basics, and things like that. So it should be a very informative piece for you, and hopefully it helps you in making your decision to start installing the IQ Panel. So let's go ahead and close that poll out, and let's go ahead and start our webinar. So let's start with live view. What is live view? For those of you that don't know, and maybe you missed the press release or not familiar with the term, live view is the streaming of Alarm.com video cameras to the panel's 7-inch HD touchscreen. Now, this was enabled in our 2.1 software update that was just released last month. So it's a very exciting feature. We're going to talk about how it works and how you can access it and things like that, and some of the things it'll do to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident in the capabilities. To start, those live video cameras stream right to your 7-inch HD touchscreen. So you can see in the little example here, if it's playing very well on your GoToMeeting, the panel can literally become a window into other places in your home. Now, I'll tell you how I personally use this. I've got cameras downstairs in our basement. That's where our kids like to play a lot. I've got them in our one outside pointing to our backyard. I've got one in the front yard pointing toward the front area and the driveway. I've got one downstairs in our little we've got kind of an area that was a bit of a wasted space, and so we turned it into a library And so we've got a little library with all the kids' books and our books and things like that we'll sit and do some reading in. And then we've also got another camera in our utility room where we have our safes and our routers and our mechanical, things and stuff like that. So if there were a problem down there, I'd be able to, view that. And it's kind of nice to be able to walk up as I'm, cooking dinner with my wife or just got home from work, things like that. I can walk up to the panel and see the kids playing. I can see that they're down there. I can, without having to disturb the kids, which for those of you that are parents, if you go downstairs and disturb the kids, instantly they're no longer playing nicely with each other. They're either fighting or they're jumping all over you, which sometimes is a good thing. But if I don't want to disturb them, it's really nice to be able to walk up right to my panel, swipe over to the camera page, and then activate the basement camera and see them playing. And if I don't see them playing, in the basement, I can switch over to the library. Are they in the library? Are they in the backyard? It's a nice way from my panel to be able to kind of just check on my whole home. Now I can do that from my phone, but I can also do it from the panel, and it's nice to be able to just have that choice. So it's a really, really powerful feature. And we think it's changing the way people are interacting with their systems. Now all the cameras will appear in a list on the side of on the camera page. Those thumbnails are captured automatically based on the last image that you saw. And all you have to do is touch a thumbnail just like this, and you'll be able to select that camera. Once you've selected that camera, all you have to do is touch the image on the left and be able to view that full screen. So you touch that and voila, it puts that feed to full screen. And then to dismiss it, all you do is touch it again and dismiss it. It's very, very easy. So it's a nice way to be able to see what's going on downstairs or in whichever room you've got the cameras in and be able to keep going. When you activate this feature, you'll get a new page on the panel. So for those of you that have activated an IQ panel on our earlier software updates, there were two pages to start with. There was a security page and then the panel camera page. That panel camera page is where all your disarm photos were residing. Now there's another page on there that's dedicated to live video, and that page will appear when you activate this. We call this dynamic pagination. Some people call it magic because it certainly feels like that. But this dynamic pagination allows the panel to only show you pages that are applicable to you. What we didn't want is we didn't want you to have this page that said video cameras and then it was blank because you didn't happen to have any video cameras either activated, authorized, or even paired with the system. So we wanted to be able to only populate it when it was actually on there. So it's really nice to be able to see them. Now, some people like to know, how do I actually authorize those cameras? Well, once you're participating in the program, the end user would log into their customer portal. Okay, they would click on settings. Okay, on the under the video tab, and then they would go down and they click on stream video to security panel screen. Okay, and then inside there, once you've got that, you've got a way you can either authorize all the cameras that you have on your account, or you can do each individual one. Maybe you want the front door camera to go, but you don't want the other ones. You can choose which cameras you want to be able to push to the screen based on what the home is like. And the end user can do this themselves once the feature's been activated on their account. People ask oftentimes which cameras support live view. We've got 3 cameras, and Will, these are the 3 cameras that you told me, the 521, the 522, and the 722, right? And these are, I believe, the most recent cameras in the Alarm.com lineup. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So these cameras here are currently supporting live view, and there's other features the cameras have that will be supported in future software updates. And we're working closely with Alarm.com and Will and his team to be able to push things like audio and things like that. And many of you are probably saying, well, what about the other cameras I have? Maybe I've got a pan tilt. Maybe I've got a video doorbell, things like that. Those are all coming in a future software update that we'll be working on, and we'll be pushing out over the air through the panel. Isn't that correct, Will?
I'm not positive about pan and tilt, but I know some of the new cameras, the 725s, 726s, those will be supported. I'm not sure about the pan and tilt.
Okay, so it's a great. A lot of people are asking, why, which camera, why we make the decisions we make on these, and people are interested to know, is it, a particular, is it speed, is it, resolution, things like that. We know that a big part of it is because the newer cameras are faster, better, and have more features than some of the older cameras. I know for myself, when I look at the 522s I have, the resolution on them, the speed at which I can stream is so much superior to the old square fixed cameras that I used to have. That, in my mind, I want to have the latest cameras, and upgrade my cameras. Kelsey, let's do that poll question. I want to know how many of you are actually installing cameras for end users right now. How often you're doing it? Just curious to know, is it, over 50% of your installs? Is it 26 to 50% of your installs? Is it, between 1 and 25%? Or maybe you don't install cameras, or maybe you don't know because that's not your part of your business, and that's totally respectable and fine too. But it's kind of nice to understand this because, as end users see more and more, and I think cameras are a really important part of the ecosystem. As end users see more and more cameras showing up in the market, they are becoming more aware of camera technology and how they want to use it. They may be looking at things like an Arlo camera or a Nest Cam, or some of the other cameras that are out there. Maybe it's just the camera setup they can buy at Costco, and there's this desire to have some of those. You as dealers, as salespeople, as marketers, as installers have an opportunity to say, hey, those other cameras, while they're nice, they've got great features and they do nice things, they're not going to be as good as having a camera that's part of the ecosystem. And for those of you that have joined our webinars before, you've heard us talk about the importance of the ecosystem. Having an Alarm.com camera means that you can actually have a camera that's connected to all of your things. I actually, time for true confessions here, I actually bought a set of Arlo cameras. Beautiful cameras. Really enjoyed them. They were easy to install. I liked how they looked. I liked how they worked. However, I immediately realized when my alarm goes off, those cameras don't know. When my door opens, those cameras don't know. I can't create any rules around those cameras. I don't have any kind of capability to integrate them with my security system, with my life safety systems. If the alarm goes off, I want to be able to get those recordings. I want to be able to pull it up inside a single app. I didn't want to have to go into the Arlo app at the same time, and then go back into my Alarm.com app to activate my system or do the things I want with my system. So having it all as part of a single ecosystem is really, really important for customers. And as smart homes get more and more complex, this becomes really, really critical for the ease of use for your end user. And ease of use is what's going to drive usage. And of course, the more usage they have, the less they're going to attrit, the more they're going to refer friends and things like that. So it makes a very, very, a whole experience better if they can get the cameras that you can provide. And of course, if we're thinking selfishly, then that gives you revenue, which of course you appreciate as well, right? Before we go on to the next slide, ladies, are there any questions that we should answer?
Yeah, we've got a good amount of questions. People are wondering about the Skybell. Do you want to answer that live?
Sure. So the Skybell is obviously a very exciting camera. That's one that's gotten a lot of momentum and a lot of attention here in the past year or so since it was released and introduced. And the latest version of that is, so there's two versions. There's the rounder one, and then there's the newer, thinner one called the Skybell Slim. My understanding, and Will, you could probably clarify this for us, but my understanding is we're working very, very hard with the Alarm.com team to have that be a part of our next software update. Whether or not it makes it, we'll see. I think the goal is to try and make sure that it works perfectly and make sure that it's easy. Again, because the Skybell is audio, we didn't want to just do visual. We wanted to also be able to speak from the panel using the built-in microphones and hear whoever's at the front porch using the built-in speakers. So all of that takes more work. And so we didn't want to hold up the release of LiveView and the 2.1 software update for that. And so our teams are still working together to help release that. Will, is that accurate? Is there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that pretty much sums it up. Yeah, we're working hard towards it. It's one of our top priority in terms of new features to support. So we're hoping to have a little demo that we can show soon, and then release it in firmware shortly after that.
Excellent. Yeah. I mean, our goal is to get it into our 2.2 software update, which is the next major software update you'll see. I don't have a date for that, and even if I did have it, I probably wouldn't share it because we don't like to commit those things because, again, the goal is to get it right and to make sure that you have a software piece that works well and that your customers can depend on, not necessarily that we meet a certain date. It's more important to get it right. So good question. What other questions do you have, Kelsey?
Let me take a look Sorry, there's lots. I'm trying to like navigate them all.
Totally fine. Totally fine. While you're looking those up, let's talk about how many cameras you can add. So the system will actually support up to 40 cameras, which is a phenomenal number. Will, have you actually seen anyone with 40 cameras on their system yet? Because I certainly haven't.
Yeah, I don't think we have. Not yet, anyway.
Wow. Yeah, when we first saw this number, and we're putting it in our press release, we've had to like look up our alarm.com account and see if you could even add that many. We're like, we thought the most you could add to an account was 16, but apparently that number's been increased if we're supporting up to 40. So, which is phenomenal. I can imagine you're literally going to have a camera inside every cabinet. I don't imagine that many homes would be doing that kind of thing, but it's nice to know that we've got the nice that we can to know that we've got the bandwidth for it. So, and then in terms of marketing, for those of you that want to be able to use images of live view, we've got several that are inside our IQ Panel 2 image pack. If you've got access to our dealer portal, you can go to dealers.qualsys.com, log in and click on downloads, and under sales and marketing downloads, there's a section called website assets. And there's a section here called the IQ Panel 2 image pack. And there are new pictures in there that also add in pictures of live view on the screen. So for those of you building websites or wanting to use it for social media or wanting to show your customers pictures of it, things like that, that's a great way to download those images and use those. So, in fact, let's do this. I want to make sure that I'll type into the chat the website address. For those of you that don't have access to the dealer portal, you go to dealers.qualsys.com/register. It helps if I spell register properly. All right, and this link, you'll be able to click right on this link and be able to get access to register for it, and then Kelsey and Whitney will get you guys approved right away so you can start using it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, other questions?
So we have some good ones. Someone is wondering if we can see, if they can save videos. See the saved videos on the panel.
Very good question. Very good question. All of the storage is currently cloud-based. I think that's one of the really big improvements that Alarm.com has made to camera technology. Maybe not camera technology in general, but just the concept of not having a DVR in the home. I've heard countless stories of people who, broke into somewhere and they stole the DVR. So all the footage of everything that happened during the alarm event is gone. Well, there's no DVR to steal here. If you're thinking about this as a true security situation, you've got cloud-based storage that allows all of that footage to be saved in the cloud. That means you can access it from your phone, you can access it from your tablet, you can access it from your computer. Now, we did not enable that to be able to save locally on the panel because it would constantly be writing and reading and transferring data back and forth. And we wanted to reserve your bandwidth on the panel for other things and reserve the memory on the panel for other things. So we don't currently allow you to view clips on that. Whether or not we choose to put that in a future software update, we'll see. I think part of that is going to come down to dealer demand. I mean, if dealers are out there asking for it, then maybe we can work with alarm.com to push some of that stuff down. But I haven't seen a huge demand for it because it is still accessible from the mobile app and other places. Will, did I describe that accurately, or would you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, in this beta, we didn't really discuss the possibility of supporting saving the videos on the panel. But that's part of the reason we're doing this beta. If that's like a huge request, it's something that we can definitely investigate a little bit more. But again, we're kind of focused on just viewing a live stream, kind of pulling that up on the panel for this initial phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up the beta too, because this is truly a beta right now, and there's probably people wondering, how do I participate in that beta? You'll notice on the GoToWebinar control panel, there's a section called handouts, and there is a handout there that you can use that kind of refers to how you can participate in the beta and what you can do. The easiest thing is to contact your representative. Isn't that right, Will?
Yeah, just shoot an email to your account exec, and he can provide you instructions on how to get enrolled in that beta.
Now, if they're participating in the beta, just for the people that are interested in doing this, if they have support questions, if they've got things that they need, what do they have to do to get support? They wouldn't call the alarm.com core support team. There's a special way of giving feedback. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a beta portal. Once you sign up and enroll in the beta, that opens up the ability. You can post your questions on there. You can, describe any problems you're having, collect a little bit of information, and then the engineering teams can investigate the problem. We can respond to posts on there to give advice if we have any further troubleshooting steps. For the most part, the troubleshooting steps for any issues that we are aware of are in that handout. But again, part of the reason that we're doing this beta is so that we can, discover any other areas that we may need to improve. So, calling core is not the right path for this. It's kind of posting your problem on that beta portal so that our engineering teams can provide direct support to the beta participants.
Mm-hmm. And you can see on the worksheet, if you've downloaded it already and you're looking at it, you can see it talks about the hardware and software compatibility. It talks about how you can set up the live streams and make sure that you can get them, and it gives you those same steps that I showed you a moment ago, and how you can authorize the cameras. It shows you how to view it from the panel and shows you how to create that stream. And then there's some troubleshooting things on there in case you happen to have a problem. You can follow some of these easy troubleshooting steps and probably resolve a lot of the major things you might encounter. But of course, if you do encounter something, if you do have a problem or something like that, then of course we want to hear about it, because potentially that creates something for us to be able to improve as part of the beta program. So hopefully you guys are participating in that already, and if not, then you can get started right away by contacting your alarm.com representative. So looking forward to that. What other questions do we have, Kelsey?
We have a lot of questions on whether or not the live view will work on the IQ remote as well.
Excellent question. Currently, no, because like Will was saying, this is part of a beta, so we stripped down a lot of the features purposely for that. We want to make sure it works well on the primary panel. We want to make sure it works well, from the cloud, everything like that. Everything's working the way it should. So we didn't want to add a lot more to it to make sure that we could get that first step done right. Now, if that is done right and working well, then we start looking at, okay, what else can we do? And we're working in the background in doing all those things. Like we mentioned, we're working on getting the Skybell pushed to the screen, working on getting audio pushed to the screen and, played over the speakers and using the microphones to speak, working on analyzing how much bandwidth is actually being used, how much resources are being used. So, can the IQ remote's processor and screen and things like that handle all of that in a way that works well and is elegant and feels right and things like that. So all of that is part of this process that our team is working on with alarm.com in the background while you guys are testing and proving the live view piece of it on the panel in the foreground. So excellent question. And again, the answer is not currently viewable on the IQ remote, but in the near future, our hope is that would absolutely be a part of that feature, because if you're in your bedroom and you've got an IQ remote on the bedstand and you want to check on the kids playing downstairs, it's a great way to do it. Now, obviously, your phone's probably right there. You could do it just as easily from your phone, but the goal is to make it accessible and easy everywhere. And so the end user has a way to choose, do I want to do it from my phone? Do I want to do it from the IQ remote? Do I want to do it from the panel? Do I want to do it from my computer? Gives them lots and lots and lots of options. So very good question. Other questions?
Yes. How long will live view play before timing out on the panel? Is there a time limit on that?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. Will, do you know?
It'll stop once the screen falls asleep. So on the 522, okay. 722, it will remain streaming until the screen falls.
So if you've got a 10-minute timeout on the panel before it goes to the photo frame, then it'll stay on that for 5 to 10 minutes then. And when you wake it back up, would it then just be streaming where you left off, or would you have to reinitiate the stream?
No, you would reopen it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, that's a great question. Very good question. What else, Kelsey?
People are wondering if in the future will live view be able to capture snapshots or photos. I don't know if we've thought that far, but we have quite a few questions, and I think it's a good one.
I'm confused by that one. Say that one again.
Could there be a snapshot of the video clip or the doorbell so you can see when you come home? Or people are wondering if you can take a snapshot of live view directly from the panel.
You saying they want to like take a screenshot of it?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that one. I maybe Will, has that come up at all? I didn't know if that was something that we wanted to be able to do.
No, that's again, that's not a feature that we discussed in depth. But again, that's part of the reason we're doing this beta, is to kind of collect some feedback from the users on what they would actually find useful. So that's very helpful. If you're signed up for the beta, whoever asked that, if you're signed up for the beta, you might want to submit that. Oh, sorry, one of my beta guys was just telling me that we actually have gotten that feedback a good bit on the beta portal. So we're collecting all these comments on feedback, so that's good to hear, and that's definitely something that we'll toss around with the development teams and the product teams, and see if we can't support that in some future releases.
Excellent. That's interesting. Okay. What else, Kelsey?
I think we've answered most of them. One question that did come up that's not related to live view, but they're wondering if there's a way to order the pages on the panel. So if someone wants live view to be the second, like once they swipe, they want live view to go there, is there a way to customize those pages?
It's a very good question. Currently, no, there's not. As we add more and more categories, so each of those pages on the panel becomes a category. It represents a category. So you've got a page for security, a page for lights, a page for locks, a page for thermostats, garage openers, cameras, etc. As we add more and more categories, and as people have more and more smart home things, it's going to be more and more important to give them an easy way to access that information. And the ability to custom sort those pages is a great solution for that. It's something that I personally hadn't thought of. I don't know if our team has talked about it at all. But we'll take that back to the team and make a recommendation, and maybe we can make it a part of the next software update. So great question. I'd also like to do one more poll. I think we've got one more left, Kelsey. Some of you might already be doing this, but the question is, are you interested in participating in the beta? And oh, did it go? I think somehow that poll had a problem. Oh well, that's okay. If you are interested in participating in the beta and you're not already, again, you should reach out to your alarm.com representative, and we'll make sure that or you could type it in the chat, and we'll put you in contact with the right person. So it's time for a little alarm.com generosity. Will has wonderfully offered to donate a couple cameras to the cause here. And we're going to give away a 522 and a 722, I believe it's called. It's basically the indoor camera and then the outdoor wireless camera. So, Will, if you'll give me a random number, you pick a number between 1 and 200.
All right. You want me to just say it out loud, or?
Yeah. Yep. Any number, 1, 200, and that will be our lucky winner, and we'll scroll down the list. So. Pick a number.
Great. Let's go with how about 37?
37. Now, is there a reason you chose 37? Do you have is that an important number to you?
Not at all. Just completely random.
Not at all. Just completely random. All right. Sounds good. All right. So 37. Let's see. 1, 2. Kelsey, can you count down and tell us who our winner is?
Yeah. In just a moment.
All right, and while she's doing that, Will, I need another number, and this time I want it to be a number that has significance to you, but one that no one else would guess, and you don't have to tell us why you're choosing it. But it could be a birthday, it could be the age of your cat, whatever you like.
All right, let's go with 86.
86. All right.
So I have your first winner. It is Mike Dover.
Mike, congratulations.
Mike, and next winner is Todd Ryan.
Mike Dover and Todd Ryan. So congratulations, guys. You got an alarm.com camera. So we'll get your information that you used to register, and we'll be getting that over to Will so he can get some cameras out to you guys. So congratulations again. Kelsey, Whitney, were there any other questions that we need to answer before we depart today?
Yeah, one random one. Why are we doing beta for LiveView? Why not go straight to the customers? If there's something wrong with the program that we're trying to figure out.
Very good question. Will, you could probably add more color to this than and you kind of alluded to this, and I think we've kind of talked about this, but I think doing a beta for LiveView, because video camera streaming, and because of how, I almost want to say it's because it's so easy to do, that we want to make sure it's really truly as easy to do as we believe. I mean, if you think about how you treat everything else, you've got security sensors that you have to pair with the panel. You've got Z-Wave devices that you have to include in the Z-Wave network. You've got an IQ remote that, as simple as it is to press a couple buttons, you still have to do something. With these video cameras, alarm.com has really generously made the process so incredibly simple. All you have to do is literally just click a button and it works. And so because that's kind of a new way of doing things, because it's hopefully easier and everything is seamless, we want to make sure it's seamless, and we want to make sure that it's all working. And as many times as we can test it in our own test environments, in our own homes, in our employees' homes, in our offices, things like that, there is no replacement for real world testing with your customers and all the different many scenarios you might have. That's my personal vote on why it was a beta. But Will, do you have anything to add to that? Do you agree with what I said? And if not, please clarify and correct anything I said incorrectly.
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely. I think you hit it on the head. It's all the testing that we do in-house. It's not a replacement for, what the actual customer experience is. So, we kind of wanted to put it out there, see if there's any areas that we can improve on, see if there's any, kind of usability issues that we didn't notice in-house, but once we actually put it in front of somebody, it was pretty obvious that we need to change that. So I think we've already identified a couple things that we can improve on, some enhanced kind of messaging if there are difficulties connecting to the camera, identifying that and being a little bit more clear about, what problems the panel is having. So yeah, I mean, there's already improvements that we've uncovered just in the last, 4 to 5 weeks of this beta. And I think that was the original intent of doing it, taking a little bit slower so that when we do kind of do a wide release, it'll be a bulletproof feature.
I love that. It's not just about being bulletproof, but it's about making it the very best feature. We can all sit around and, between me and Will and our engineering teams and, our executive teams and our sales teams, we can all talk about all the things that we would like and we think would be good. But there's no replacement for that real hands-on experience of your installers, your end users being able to say, boy, it would be cool if you could do this, if you could do that. Chances are you guys are going to come up and you've even brought up things today on the call where you're like, hey, can you do this? We're like, oh, we didn't think about that. So I think that's a testament to the nimbleness of Qualtis, the nimbleness of alarm.com, and our desire to actually provide you with solutions and features that meet your needs. Not simply provide you with something that we can sell and we can make money off of. The goal here is to provide you with something you can actually use, something that you'll love, something your customers will love, something that'll be easy for you, but also really pleasing for the end user. And as we get your feedback, as we tune things, as we tweak them, as we refine them, it allows us to make a product that truly delights the customer. And that's the goal, right? The goal is to delight the customer so that they want to buy more from you, so that they want to stay with you longer, so they want to refer their friends, and it makes an overall amazing experience for everyone involved. So, Will, I can't thank you enough for being on today. I know you're tremendously busy, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this webinar with us. Again, you guys, if you've got questions about participating in the beta, reach out to your alarm.com representative. If you don't know who that is, we can help you find that person or identify that person and get in touch with them. Kelsey, for those of you, will be reaching out to those of you that are currently not selling the IQ panel and get you whatever information you need so you can make that decision to start selling the IQ panel. Because we know that when you do, it'll change the way you look at security, it'll change the way you look at smart home, it'll change the way you look at installation and sales, the whole entire process. So we hope you enjoyed today's webinar. Again, it's being recorded, and we'll take and post that recording onto our YouTube channel later on today. We'll also send out a follow-up link to you tomorrow so that you can share that webinar, review it again yourself, or share it with others. Kelsey, Whitney, thanks again for fielding all those questions. I know there was a lot in there. And everyone, thanks for your time. Look forward to talking to you again soon.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy.
Bye-bye.
Have a good